So Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are panicking because William, let me be clear, does not believe his father, the cancer-stricken king, has gone far enough. According to Taz, made a really good point about this actually, and how in a modern royal family, and I use that word modern because we know William wants to modernize, and trust me, I understand that lots of you are like me and are nervous about this and think, oh gosh, are we just going to end up like a European monarchy with that tiny little family and no big balcony scenes? But I think because of what's happened over the past few weeks, we've got to go with his vision, actually. I've really even changed my own view.
The quiet inside the Montecito mansion feels different these days, almost tense, like the air itself is holding its breath. For years, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle moved through royal drama like skilled players at a high-stakes table, confident their royal connection would always protect them. But as 2026 unfolds, the mood has clearly shifted. The rules they once relied on, suddenly they don't look so solid anymore. Whispers from palace circles suggest a level of stress coming from the Sussex camp that hasn't been seen before. This isn't just about harsh headlines or social media criticism. What's being talked about now is far bigger.
And I liked the way that Tash suggested we should view royal titles in the future. She suggested on X, royal titles need to be treated as job titles. If you no longer work for the firm and were previously a working royal, excluding retirement, then the titles must be taken or handed back. Harry and Meghan were only given the dukedom as a job position because they promised the Queen, that's the late Queen, they wanted to serve the country. They lied. They have since gone on to use those titles for financial gain, and they have also tried to damage the very institution and family who gave them those titles. They lied for maximum damage and did it publicly for money. They will take any money they can get off anyone who's willing to give it. They are another Andrew and Fergie waiting to happen.
Questions about whether their remaining royal privileges could slowly fade away entirely. Even the once sacred line of succession, something many believed would never be touched, is now part of intense debate. And those Duke and Duchess titles? Some insiders say they're hanging by a thread that looks thinner every month. For generations, the royal institution built its authority on a simple but powerful rule: never complain, never explain. That tradition helped the monarchy stay above political fights and public pressure. It created a protective barrier that made royal titles seem permanent and untouchable. But recently, that barrier hasn't just cracked.
Actually, maybe William isn't saying this to overstep the boundaries or to try and, trample over my reign. William's actually saying this because he wants to have a monarchy that is able to be saved, and he's trying to help you, Charles. Like, stop being so intransigent and listen to your eldest son.
It's been shaken in ways people never expected. And the moment that changed everything wasn't connected to the Sussexes at first. It started with the controversy surrounding Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. When the palace took serious steps to distance the institution from Andrew, it quietly opened a door many thought would stay locked forever. Suddenly, the idea that royal status could be reshaped or even removed no longer felt impossible. The situation created what some observers call a new playbook, one that shows the monarchy is willing to act when reputational damage grows too large. And that's exactly why the mood in Montecito is reportedly uneasy. To understand the tension, you have to look at what happened with Andrew and how dramatically it shifted the conversation around royal accountability. For decades, princes born into the royal line were viewed as almost untouchable in both legal and social terms. That perception helped maintain the image of a stable, protected royal family.
But also, we've seen with Andrew what happens when you have a rogue element or somebody who is not following the directives and these sorts of things, who can bring down the entire institution through a series of very bad decisions. And although Harry and Meghan's, I think, will manifest differently, Andrew and Sarah are a reflection of what Harry and Meghan will most likely become. And if Andrew had been dealt with 7 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we would not be here. And so William, when he gets on the throne, I hope, if Charles hasn't done it, that the first thing he does is just take Harry and Meghan out, just officially remove them. That's what they've sort of stated they wanted. Just do it and protect the institution in the future. We don't need these distractions.
100%. But what I hope is actually happening is that Charles is starting to wake up.
But the events of early 2026 shook that belief across royal watchers worldwide. It demonstrated that even someone deeply connected to the crown could face serious consequences when controversies escalate. When King Charles issued official letters patent removing Andrew's HRH style and prince title, the move carried a powerful message. It wasn't just about one individual, it signaled that royal privilege has limits. If the monarch can take such steps with his own brother after major public scrutiny, then the conversation naturally expands. What protections truly remain for family members who have publicly criticized the institution over the years? The precedent now sits in plain sight. The king showed he could make a difficult decision, weather the global headlines and prioritize the monarchy's long-term stability. In royal terms, that kind of move is sometimes described as protecting the institution at all costs, even if it means cutting away a problem before it spreads further. For the Sussexes, that shift has changed how some observers view their situation. What once looked like a major royal standoff now appears, to critics at least, as a potential issue the palace may eventually decide to resolve. Tension climbed even higher during Harry and Meghan's recent two-day visit to Jordan.
The power within the British monarchy is shifting. King William V is very, very clear in his plans. Charles has not gone far enough, according to him, but this isn't just about the former Duke of York and the former Duchess of York. At the absolute forefront of his mind are Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet, and trust me, they are going to have their titles stripped too.
Publicly, the trip focused on humanitarian work connected to a visit with refugees through a World Health Organization invitation. On the surface, it looked like a continuation of the couple's charitable efforts. But behind the scenes, the political and royal implications sparked serious conversation among commentators and officials. Critics quickly framed the visit as something far more complicated, a kind of unofficial royal appearance happening outside traditional palace oversight. Some observers claim the couple seemed to be operating like working royals, meeting high-level figures and releasing statements that echoed the tone of formal royal tours. Yet they were doing it without following the usual diplomatic coordination that typically surrounds official royal travel. The reaction in London was swift and intense. Commentators, political voices, and royal analysts all began asking the same sharp question. How can someone step away from royal duties as private citizens, but still use the prestige of their titles in international settings? For critics, the Jordan visit looked less like charity work.
Now it's no longer sacred. Now it's done, and nobody really seemed to care. And so it makes it much easier to do again. And the rationality for stripping Harry and Meghan, not only of their titles, but places in the line of succession, is that they are rogue royals still constantly utilizing the titles to make money, to make, sometimes political statements and these sorts of things without being within the confines and respecting the family and their decision.
And more like an attempt to stay visible on the global stage after several professional projects struggled to gain momentum. Instead of strengthening their position, the trip ended up highlighting the complicated space they now occupy. Every international appearance connected to their titles can create confusion about who officially represents the monarchy. And according to palace insiders, that concern has reportedly made Prince William even more determined to prevent similar situations from happening again. And that King Charles is often portrayed as the father trying to balance personal feelings with royal duty, carefully walking that tightrope between family loyalty and responsibility to the crown. But Prince William brings a completely different mindset to the table. In 2026, many observers believe William's influence inside the royal structure has grown stronger than ever. He has watched the public drama unfold for years, seeing Harry and Meghan continue to use their royal titles while building careers across media, business, and global speaking circuits. To critics of the couple, that combination has looked like prestige mixed with profit, and it has fueled growing frustration among traditional royal supporters. For William, the situation is no longer just a family disagreement.
The British royal family mired in one of its biggest crises in history. But if you thought the Prince Andrew scandal was the end of the changes that are coming under King William V, let me tell you, you are wrong. Today, I can confirm plans by the heir to the throne to strip Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lily of all royal titles as William's fury over the situation regarding the former Duke of York grows.
It's a question about the long-term survival of the monarchy itself. Insiders claim he has been thinking carefully about what kind of royal institution he wants to lead one day. Behind palace doors, conversations reportedly focus on a major shift toward a smaller and more disciplined royal structure. The idea being discussed? A streamlined monarchy where titles, privileges, and visibility are tied directly to official work and public service. The message that supporters of this approach repeat is simple: no job, no perks. According to several royal commentators, William believes the monarchy must evolve to stay relevant in the modern world. In his view, it should be seen as a serious public institution, one that represents service, stability, and responsibility, not a stage for celebrity-style branding. Critics of the Sussexes argue that their media deals and high-profile appearances blurred that line in ways that made the institution look more like entertainment than tradition. Another flashpoint may already be forming on the international stage. Rumors have circulated about a possible visit to Australia involving Harry and Meghan, and those whispers alone have stirred tension among royal watchers. Reports suggest that William has been privately voicing concern about how such trips are presented publicly.
The fact that the line of succession can be changed. The fact that people can lose their royal titles. All of these conventions that in the past, the British royal family wouldn't countenance because it raised too many questions about their authority. It gave too much power to politicians. It allowed the Republican movement to make demands on them. All of that has gone out the window and has had to go out the window because of the terrible handling by this institution of the Andrew Mountbatten Windsor scandal.
His argument, according to insiders, is that royal titles should not create confusion about who officially represents the monarchy abroad. Because of that concern, there are claims that palace officials have quietly reminded foreign governments about the difference between working royal visits and private travel. The goal is clarity. If Harry and Meghan travel internationally, they would be received strictly as private individuals rather than official representatives of the crown. That distinction might sound technical, but in royal circles, it carries major implications for public image and protocol. Without the ceremonies, diplomatic meetings, and state-level recognition that usually accompany royal tours, the optics would look very different. No formal welcomes, no government-level hosting, and none of the symbolic gestures that signal an official royal mission. For a public-facing brand built partly on royal identity, that shift could dramatically change how audiences and business partners view their influence. At the same time, another challenge has been unfolding in the media world. The massive Netflix deal, once described as a cornerstone of the Sussexes' post-royal career, has reportedly entered a far more uncertain phase. While early headlines celebrated a partnership worth enormous sums, the reality of streaming economics has proven far more complicated than the hype suggested. Recent reports indicate that Netflix has stepped back from deeper involvement with Meghan's lifestyle-focused brand. Official language from the company mentions independent growth and new strategic directions, but industry analysts read between the lines.
This is going to be Prince William getting tough. And we already saw the impact that he is having, because while this is an incredibly difficult conversation to have, the power has already shifted to the heir in quite some way, given Charles's health struggles grow.
Streaming platforms today are far more cautious with giant deals than they were just a few years ago, especially when viewership numbers fail to meet expectations. One of Meghan's lifestyle and cooking projects reportedly struggled to gain major traction on the platform. In a world where streaming success is measured in clicks, rankings, and watch time, that matters a lot. When audiences don't show up in large numbers, companies adjust their strategy quickly and sometimes dramatically. Instead of massive guaranteed contracts, streaming giants are increasingly shifting towards smaller, first-look agreements that carry far less financial security. For creators, that means opportunity remains, but the safety net disappears. For a high-profile couple managing expensive property costs, staff, and personal security, those industry shifts can suddenly make the financial picture look much tighter than it did in the early headlines. All of this pressure is hitting at the same moment when royal tensions remain unresolved. If media partnerships shrink while royal ties continue to loosen, the foundation of the Sussex brand faces serious questions. What once looked like a powerful new chapter after leaving royal duties now appears far more uncertain, and the spotlight on every move they make has only grown brighter. A new twist is now stirring inside royal circles, and this time the tension isn't coming from outside critics. It's rumored to be rising from within the extended family itself. Sarah Ferguson, often known as Fergie, is suddenly being mentioned in whispers about a possible memoir project.
They can try and spin the Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor situation for them as much as they like. But they are panicking because they know what is currently being opened up is the previously unspeakable.
Reports suggest she may be considering a tell-all book to help cover rising legal and living expenses following the controversies surrounding Andrew. And that possibility has sparked serious anxiety among royal watchers, because Fergie has been around the family long enough to know plenty of behind-the-scenes stories. What makes the situation especially dramatic is her proximity to the Sussex saga during critical moments. During the pandemic years, Fergie spent time living at Frogmore Cottage, placing her right near the center of some of the most emotionally tense chapters in the family's recent history. That means she may have witnessed events and conversations that the public has never heard about. For years, the Sussex narrative has dominated headlines and interviews, shaping how millions of people view the royal fallout. But if a book suddenly appeared offering a very different perspective, the entire public debate could shift overnight. Some insiders claim the Sussex camp worries about exactly that possibility, an alternative version of events surfacing that challenges the story already told to the world. The irony isn't lost on royal observers. A couple who once broke centuries of royal silence through interviews, documentaries, and books might now find themselves facing someone else stepping forward with their own account. In royal storytelling, the first voice often sets the tone for the global narrative. But the second voice? That's the one people scrutinize closely, especially if it arrives with detailed memories and personal experiences. At the same time, another storm continues brewing around Harry's long-running legal battle over security arrangements in the United Kingdom. The dispute has stretched across several years and multiple court hearings, with decisions swinging back and forth in complicated ways. Recently, reports suggested that a fresh risk assessment, following a concerning incident involving a persistent individual in London, may have shifted the conversation slightly in Harry's favor. On the surface, that could look like a legal step forward for him. But in the court of public opinion, the situation is far more complicated. The idea that taxpayers might contribute to security costs for someone who lives abroad and no longer carries out official royal duties has sparked heated debate across media and political circles.
That's why I am told they live in fear about losing their titles, because remember, especially for Meghan, and you know the way she has brandished her Duchess, largesse. We know how she has even privately brandished her HRH behind the scenes to win over the rich and powerful, to make money. It means so much to her, which is, of course, so embarrassing, given that the reason that she wanted to go was to live a normal...
Commentators on all sides are asking tough questions about fairness and responsibility. Supporters argue that safety concerns should be taken seriously, no matter where someone lives. Critics counter that public funding should be tied directly to public service. That debate has even spilled into political discussions about how royal titles are handled under British law. Some members of parliament have reportedly floated the idea of revisiting the historic 1917 Titles Deprivation Act. The proposal being discussed in political commentary would make it easier for parliament to vote on removing certain royal honors under specific circumstances. Nothing like that has happened yet, but the mere discussion shows how much the climate around royal privilege has shifted. For Harry, that creates a strange scenario where one legal victory might trigger an entirely different political storm. In theory, he could secure stronger protection during visits to the UK while simultaneously facing louder calls to reconsider his royal titles. It's the kind of complex situation where winning one battle could still create bigger problems in the long run. Meanwhile, the broader monarchy is quietly studying how other European royal families have handled modernization. Across the continent, several monarchies have already trimmed their official ranks in order to appear leaner and more focused on public service. In Sweden, the king removed HRH status from several grandchildren to limit who officially represents the crown. Denmark made an even bolder move when Queen Margrethe restructured titles within her family, sparking intense public debate at the time. Those examples are now frequently cited by royal analysts who believe the British monarchy may eventually follow a similar path.
I think the Brits need to look to their counterparts to see how they've modernized in particular ways and how successful or maybe not successful those have been, and adopt similar stances, because I think that is the route of the future.
Framing changes as modernization rather than personal punishment would allow the palace to argue that reforms are about efficiency and clarity, not family conflict. Some commentators have even suggested a model where royal status gradually fades for relatives who live permanently outside the country or who no longer carry out official duties. For the Sussex brand, that possibility carries enormous consequences. Much of their global recognition has been tied to the exclusivity and prestige of their titles. If those titles were ever redefined or reduced, the impact would ripple across media deals, public appearances, and influence in elite social circles. In industries like Hollywood and global philanthropy, titles often act as a kind of VIP pass, opening doors that might otherwise stay closed. Observers frequently note that Meghan, in particular, has continued to use her title as a core part of her public identity. Without it, critics argue she would simply be known for her earlier acting career and media projects rather than royal status. Supporters, however, say her charitable ambitions and public platform would still carry weight regardless of titles. Either way, the debate highlights how much symbolism and power remain tied to those few royal words. Voluntarily giving up a title would be a dramatic gesture, one that could reshape public perception instantly. Some commentators imagine a scenario where stepping away from royal labels might actually boost public respect, allowing the couple to say something like, "We don't need these to do our work." Whether that kind of move ever happens is uncertain, but the conversation alone shows how intense the spotlight on their future has become. But stepping away from those titles voluntarily, most royal watchers say that's extremely unlikely, and that hesitation gives Prince William exactly the leverage he needs in the court of public opinion. Critics argue it reinforces the belief that the Sussexes aren't simply seeking quiet lives away from the spotlight. They still value the prestige that comes with royal status.
Because trust me, what is happening now and what is currently being tested in the waters is painting a blueprint for William the moment that he takes the throne. Yes, he wants his father to deal with this, but if his father doesn't deal with this, he goddamn will. And the first people to go, the first people to lose their titles, the first people to be removed from the line of succession will be his brother and his two children, Archie and Lily.
That contradiction has become one of the most talked about ironies in modern royal drama. The couple once spoke about wanting distance from the institution, yet the connection to its titles remains a powerful part of their public identity. Media outlets around the world are starting to show signs of fatigue with the endless back and forth, and the appetite for constant royal controversy isn't as strong as it once was. If those titles were ever officially removed or redefined, the consequences would ripple far beyond headlines. It would mean the next generation in the Sussex family losing a symbolic link to centuries of royal history. For supporters of the monarchy, that possibility reflects the reality that the institution always prioritizes its survival above individual relationships. Behind the scenes, the shift in royal leadership style is already becoming visible. Even while King Charles still sits on the throne, analysts say the influence of Prince William is growing stronger with each passing year. Many royal commentators describe what's happening now as a kind of soft transition. The monarchy is gradually moving toward the approach William is expected to bring when his reign eventually begins. His vision appears clear: a smaller, more focused royal team with no room for part-time participation. From that perspective, the monarchy must operate as a public service, something disciplined and useful to the nation, rather than a global spectacle fueled by celebrity drama. For William, the Sussex situation has effectively become an early leadership test. Every decision connected to the issue signals how firmly he plans to protect the institution's structure. Unlike the sometimes more conciliatory tone associated with King Charles, William is widely viewed as far more direct. Observers often note that he prioritizes stability and long-term strategy over emotional reconciliation. In royal politics, that mindset can create hard lines that are difficult to cross. For Prince Harry, that shift must feel deeply personal.
And we do also, Dan, have tons of examples in mainland Europe of this happening. We have it in Sweden with the king stripping some of his grandchildren of their HRHs. We have it in Denmark with the queen deciding to strip prince and princess titles and give them counts and countess titles as well. And in the Netherlands, it's sort of interesting because you could be born in the line of succession, but if you get so far removed from who the monarch is, you just kind of fall off the line of succession. And that might be a model that the Brits need to adopt because we don't need 1,000 plus, several hundred and thousand plus people in the line of succession anymore.
The brother he once shared private conversations with is now widely described as his strongest critic inside the royal hierarchy. It's a reminder that royal life rarely allows sentiment to override duty. Within the world of crowns and constitutions, the rules are simple but unforgiving. You are either inside the working structure of the monarchy or you are outside of it. By early 2026, the tension between the Sussex household and the royal institution had reached another intense moment. A combination of legal disputes, public relations battles, and shifting business ventures created a climate where every move attracted heavy scrutiny. One of the most significant setbacks came when Prince Harry lost a major high court challenge related to government-funded security during visits to the United Kingdom. The court ultimately ruled that the decision to scale back his protection was neither irrational nor unlawful. Legally, that judgment confirmed the government's authority to adjust security arrangements once someone steps away from official royal duties. The practical impact, however, was enormous. Without the same level of police protection, traveling regularly to the UK becomes far more complicated for Harry. When he acknowledged publicly that safety concerns limit how often he can return, the statement carried emotional weight and sparked another wave of debate across British media. While legal arguments continued, a completely different narrative started to emerge from Montecito. On International Women's Day 2026, Meghan shared a rare personal photograph online. The image, credited to Papa Sussex, immediately grabbed attention. On the surface, it looked like a warm family moment, but communication experts quickly pointed out something interesting about the wording. Using Sussex like a family surname signals a subtle shift in branding. Instead of presenting the title purely as a royal duty granted by the crown, the couple appears to be leaning into it as part of their private family identity. Supporters see this as harmless personalization. Critics, however, argue that it transforms a royal designation into something closer to a commercial brand label.
Actually, for Harry and Meghan, this is a real nightmare because it gives William the total plan as to how he can just immediately strip them the moment he is on the throne, which may happen sooner than many think.
Yes, Dan, when it comes to this, it's one of those things where people thought this was sacred. You can't touch the line of succession unless somebody dies. Nobody's removed from it. That's how it's pretty much always been.
That interpretation reportedly frustrates palace traditionalists, who believe royal titles should remain tightly connected to the institution itself rather than individual marketing strategies. Meanwhile, Meghan's lifestyle venture, American Riviera Orchard, has encountered its own set of complications. The brand's name references a popular nickname for the Santa Barbara region, but trademark questions surrounding the phrase American Riviera have slowed the rollout of several planned products. Legal specialists note that geographic names can be tricky to trademark because they often belong to public identity rather than private ownership. Behind the scenes, sources claim the project continues moving forward, though perhaps more slowly than originally expected. Without a permanent executive team in place and with multiple adjustments to the launch timeline, industry observers say the process has been more complicated than launching a typical celebrity brand. In the entertainment capital of Los Angeles, reputation and momentum matter a great deal, and whispers about delays tend to travel fast. The transition from royal figure to lifestyle entrepreneur brings challenges even for someone with global recognition. Fame can open doors, but it doesn't remove the regulatory and corporate hurdles that every business must navigate. Meghan's supporters insist patience will pay off once the brand fully launches, while skeptics question whether the early buzz can be sustained without stronger institutional backing. Inside the palace, the balance of power has also been evolving quietly. As King Charles focuses on his health and ongoing duties, Prince William's voice in royal strategy has become increasingly prominent. While the king is sometimes described as more open to repairing family relationships, reports suggest William remains cautious and distant when it comes to communication with his brother. According to several royal commentators, direct contact between the two households has been minimal for a long time. Messages reportedly pass through official channels rather than personal conversations. That distance only adds to speculation about what might happen during the next major royal-related event involving Prince Harry. The spotlight is already turning toward the 2027 Invictus Games scheduled for Birmingham. The sporting event, founded by Harry to support wounded veterans, carries enormous symbolic importance. For King Charles, attending could be interpreted as a gesture of support for his son's work. Yet skipping the event might signal alignment with William's harder stance toward the Sussex situation. That decision could become one of the most delicate diplomatic moments of the decade for the royal family. If senior royals attend, it might suggest a thaw in tensions. If they stay away, the absence would speak loudly on its own. Either outcome will be analyzed across the world, because events like the Invictus Games attract global attention and carry powerful emotional meaning. For Harry and Meghan, appearing on British soil during such a major international gathering could represent an important opportunity to reconnect with the public. But if the event unfolds without visible royal support, critics might interpret it as a sign that the divide within the family remains firmly in place. The clock is clearly ticking on how this entire chapter will unfold. Royal history often resembles a long strategic chess match, with moves planned years in advance. What once looked like a modern fairy tale transformation of the monarchy has slowly turned into a complicated lesson about the risks of balancing independence with royal identity. Looking at the state of the monarchy in 2026, many analysts believe the institution is entering another period of adaptation. From internal controversies to changing media landscapes and shifting public expectations, the royal system continues evolving in order to survive. Through every generation, the monarchy has preserved itself by redefining what it represents. The only remaining question is how the Sussex story will fit into that evolution. Whether reconciliation eventually happens or the distance continues to grow, one thing is clear: the future shape of the monarchy is already taking form. And the version that may emerge under a future King William is widely expected to be leaner, stricter, and far less tolerant of blurred royal roles than anything seen before. If you watch this and have thoughts, drop them in the comments below. If this breakdown made you see things differently, hit subscribe and stay locked in for more deep dives like this. Don't forget to like the video and share it with someone who needs to see it.